Okay, and we're live. So, hi everyone. Hi, if you've just connected, and I'm Vinny, and we have Daniel, who's going to co-host, and we have our very first special guest, Mark Storner, who's a chimney sweep in the USA. If you've just joined us, this is the first sweep show. As you can see, we're working out through technicalities and technical issues and all these kind of things. And you have a live chat which you can use to ask us question. Thank you, Huggy Bear, for saying that you can hear us absolutely fine. And Andreas as well. Thank you very much for joining. Could you guys let us know where you're from, which city or country or wherever? And that would be really useful to find out. And hopefully, if you have any issues with the sound, just let us know. What would be really fantastic is if you can hit the subscribe button and click the like button. That would be fantastic. Who do we have? So London, England, Bath. That's Rory. Uh, there we have Kent, uh, Brighton, Rotterdam, Eddington. Okay, so there's lots of places. Devon. Thank you guys for all joining in. There's quite a few people now already watching. Hey, here's our first German sweep joining in on the chat. We got Chris from Leeds, and hey guys, that's fantastic. So if you can hit the subscribe button and the like button, that would be fantastic. And I'm going to pass it over to Daniel, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the show and our first guest, Mark, and we're going to start having a chat and take it from here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first sweep show. We came up with the idea of the sweep show because there just wasn't anything for chimney sweeps entertainment wise. So we all need a little bit of fun of an evening time. Vinny, can you switch the screen, please? Because we're still watching you on the screen. Let me message Vinny.
He took his headphones off.
Sorry? Vinny, we're watching you on the screen. Can you switch it to me, please?
Oh, you are. You should be.
No, we're definitely watching you.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
What about now?
There we go. Perfect. So everyone gets to see my
all right. Sorry, guys. I'm working on the technology for the first time as well.
It's okay. Well, there's going to be some teething problems on this first show, but hopefully we'll get it all worked out. We've got some interesting stuff for you today in today's show. And we've got an interview with Mr. Mark Stoner. Mark's a lifelong chimney sweep, an entrepreneur. He's a best-selling author, and he's a good friend. We met many years ago at an ESHFO conference, I do believe. And he's passionate about the chimney sweeping industry and, what it is, what it can become. We've got some news too, some very good news in the UK because things are changing for the first time in a positive way, which I'm sure you'll wish to hear after our initial interview with Mark. So I'm going to let Mark introduce himself. Vinny, could you please switch over to Mark for me, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic.
Mark, you should now be on screen.
All right. Hello, everyone. It's quite an honor to be on this first sweep show. Thank you, Daniel, for this fantastic idea. And I like the idea of just, getting everybody together to talk outside of politics, outside of crap. We just try to help each other.
Yeah.
And, we're a brotherhood, whether you're in Europe or I'm in America, we share a lot of the same things. And so I'm looking forward to this interview, and hopefully we have some fun and can, shed some light on some problems or some ideas that people have. And I congratulate you on your show.
Well, thank you, Mark. The best thing with technology is that it makes the world smaller and brings us closer together. It's the very best thing altogether with with tech. Of course, it has problems in its own, as I'm sure we'll see more of throughout the show. But it doesn't matter that you're in the US and there's a time difference. It means that we can talk. Everyone can engage in our conversation and our debate here today. And in future shows, there'll be guests from all over the world, part of the Sweep Show. Part of the idea of the Sweep Show isn't that it's a UK show, it's that it's a worldwide show where we can bring chimney sweeping and chimney sweeps from all over the globe, bring their little bit of difference for everyone to see, and for us to join together in some way. Anyway, let's crack on with the interview, Mark. Sure. Okay, I've got some questions, some that were sent to us and some which we've written. The first one is, when did you start out as a chimney sweep?
I started in the chimney sweep business when I was 18 years old. That was 1985. I happened to read an article. My house had caught on fire a couple of years before I got into the business, and I knew the dangers of chimney, how badly a chimney fire could affect your family. And so when I was in college, I was in a business class, and it was a practice, mock business startup. So I happened to read an article about chimney sweeping, and it wasn't very much money. And at the time it said make $55 an hour doing it. And at 1985 in America, that was a good amount of money. And I knew I could do it. I knew the need for it. So I bought the kit, and it came with brushes and a book on how to do it, and a top hat. And that's how a lot of the industry started in America. It was in the very late 70s, early 80s. So we haven't been around very long, as you guys know. So I started among some of the first ones, and I've been in it ever since.
That's cool. So you really started out of necessity. You saw there was a chimney fire, saw that there was a need, and filled the gap. Saw that there was a gap and a bit of a void in the market, and sort of plugged the hole, so to speak.
Yeah, I knew the need for it. And in my college class, it looked like when I ran the numbers and I ran it as a business that it could be kind of successful. Now, that being said, my dad did not want me to do it. In fact, he told me, you shouldn't be a chimney sweep. There's already a chimney sweep in town, and he's poor, and you don't want to do this. You want to do something else with your life. And I kept saying, no, I do want to do it. I can do this. And so against his judgment, I did it. Now looking back, he's super proud of things, and said, thank God you didn't listen to me. But that's how we did it.
Well, there is that sort of stigma attached to being a chimney sweep. If I think back, I was on a cruise ship one time, and I was sat on a table full of doctors, and we were speaking around the table. But my mother has a few different medical degrees. She's a psychiatric doctor. And I was a sort of test study. So I understand some of the language used by doctors, and I was speaking to the doctors around the table, and they were talking about their speciality. One said they're a gynecologist. One was a psychologist. There was another one who was a neurosurgeon. And then they got to me and they said, well, what class of medicine are you in? And I said, I'm a chimney sweep. You've never seen this many people look down so quickly in all of your life. And that was the end of the conversation. It was the best conversation killer that we could ever bring about. But I was on the same cruise ship as them, dining at the same table, living the same lifestyle. But obviously I wasn't part of their social circle because of the stigma attached.
The way they look at it, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, but that's the way it is. I'm sure some of those doctors, we perhaps sweep their chimneys every year. They still need us.
Yeah.
Okay, people have been asking us. In the US, things are slightly different than they are around the world, and people are interested in that. So there's some questions here. Do you think the industry is changing for the better in the US? And in your opinion, what could be done better?
So is it changing for the better is a funny question, because, there's a group of individuals that think it really is changing for the better. And there's a whole group that think it probably isn't. And what I mean by that is, a lot of us in the industry have been kind of growing bigger and bigger chimney businesses. Mm-hmm. And for a very long time, it was pretty much a 1 truck or 2 truck operation was the vast majority, 90+% of the whole industry was that. And recently in 2012, when the industry did a survey, it was 63% of the people were still 1 to 2 truck operators. And now in 2017, when we did the last survey, it's now down to 49% is 1 to 2 truck operations. So the industry itself is growing into multi-truck operations. I personally like that. I was a one-man operation for 17 years. I fell off of a roof. I got seriously hurt and I could not work. And I could not sell my business either. Nobody was interested in buying my one-man operation. And so I learned a pretty valuable lesson that I didn't really have a business. I always said I had a business, but I didn't. I had a job.
Yeah, yeah.
I created myself a job. And a lot of people have heard that term that, but it was really came home to me because nobody wanted to buy my business and I thought it was very valuable. So at that point, 2003, I started to build what I knew of as a business that could literally ideally run without me one day and still provide income for me and my family and not be quite so vulnerable as it had been for me. My family had come from a long line of other businesses, but they were still one person operations. Like my mother was an accountant and she got sick in her 40s and I saw that business collapse. My brother-in-law was a builder and he was a great carpenter and he smashed his hand in a terrible accident. Then he got an infection in his inner ear and could not swing the hammer anymore. And I saw that business go down. And so for me personally, I didn't like the vulnerability of that. So that's why I decided to grow a business. And a lot of people in the United States are doing that. Now, your second question was, what do I think could be done better? I think probably the number one thing that could be done better is for years we focused on technical work, all the technical work and being a very good technician, but we didn't focus on any business skills. We didn't focus on how to run a business, how to market a business, the finances and everything, how to have good leadership so people would want to work with you. We just didn't do that, and I think that got us in some ways behind the curve of different than a lot of other in the United States. Like some of the biggest companies are what we call HVAC companies, heating, venting companies, and they are huge. Some of these are very big companies, yet chimney sweeps are still, for the most part, kind of looked at or kind of behind them. And so I think as an industry, we need to have better business training as much as anything.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you completely there, Mark. And actually, it's very much the same in the UK. And I think that stems from lots of the one man or one woman band jobs where perhaps your father would start a business, you would take over that business as a chimney sweep.
Right.
And actually, where your bills were covered, you didn't see the need to grow outside of that box. And actually, I don't think the drive was there as well with that type of person. There's nothing wrong with that type of person, but now there's a new type of person, I think, entering the market and has been for some time. That's entrepreneurial, that has ambitions beyond that of a chimney sweep or one van or two vans, and they want to expand on their business. And I do think that in the existing market, those skills are lacking. I think some of the new people coming into the market actually have those skills because they come from other markets. Right. But actually, some of the chimney sweeps within the market, they desperately lack those business skills. And of course, they're essential to be prosperous. There's something which is, it needs some training. It needs some investment and some time.
Well, and I think you have to want that. Like there's a group of people that just don't want to have employees. They don't want to have too many customers. They want, what they want. And that's fine. And if you're happy in life and if you found it, then good for you. For me personally, I still have this kind of drive to make things different for me and make things a little bit better and maybe make things better for other people. I really enjoy employees. We have almost 50 employees here. We run 26 trucks every day. And I enjoy that. I mean, you think, oh, that many, it's a nightmare. Yes, there's rough days, but I truly enjoy that. I enjoy employing people. I love teaching people a trade. And I personally like running a business that services 300 to 400 customers a week. Now, for us in the States, that's a lot because we only, each truck maybe services 4 a day. So it's very different, I know, over there. But for us, it's a lot. And we have a lot of trucks that do that. And I enjoy that. But, it's what you want in life. If you're listening to this show and you've arrived, then great. Maybe technical is what you want to hear. But if you haven't arrived and you want business training, that's probably the biggest, wide open thing in our industry that can be really filled with a good group of people helping other people with business.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I
if I
would
can,
agree.
Dan, if I can interject on that for a second,
Please do.
there's, I mean, as a marketer myself, that's my role. I've never been up a roof or anything like that, and I have no plans of doing so anytime soon. But I've been working for quite some years now within the industry in the UK, and what you describe is exactly what's going on here. It's the lack of business acumen and the lack of um, understanding and the lack of risk taking due to lack of knowledge as well. All these kind of things, I think, are hurting a lot of the chimney sweeps I speak with, and it seems to be such a big leap of faith for them to take that steps where they're going to have to grow into a bigger operation and a more sustainable operation and invest in marketing and learn about marketing and basically compete like any other sound business would do in a different type of industry. It sounds to me that what you're describing is a little bit the same in the States, but a lot of businesses are able to pull it together and actually grow into really sizable businesses.
They're starting to, yes. Over the
Yeah,
last probably 10 years, it's become more popular, and there's a group that are really growing, and you can see it in how our industry is changing. And there's a group that say, hey, I'm happy being this one man band or two man, and that's enough for me. So that's the great thing about chimney sweeping is I think it affords you the ability to have kind of whatever size business that fits your ability to manage and your ability and your happiness. I think it's that wide open for you to do whatever you like in it.
Yeah, I would agree completely. It is that way. Having said that, I think the American market is much better at upselling products or on-site selling than we are in the UK. So it would be normal for a van to go out in the US and and sell X amount of products, liner, chimney liner, and repair work, etc. In the UK, there's a slightly different ethos where the guys, they kind of stack up the jobs, so they go and sweep lots of chimneys in the day, but their upselling isn't there. It's just those jobs during the day, and overall, I think economically, it's much better to sell high value products than it is to do the base job, and the people within
Totally
the UK
agree.
just aren't very good at that.
At one point, my business was my income came from about 85% chimney sweeping and 15% small repairs and chimney caps and small things like that. But now, as we've grown, it's just completely flipped. Our business is only about 12% chimney sweeping and inspections, and the rest of it is clean restorations, repairs, upselling, value added products in the house. We actually every day every truck goes out. We call it like our ice cream truck. Every day when your truck goes out, it needs to be loaded with the ice cream sandwiches and the cones and everything. But for us, it's dampers and it's caps and it's waterproofing. It's certain things that they can sell while they're in the home. And so we've purposely slowed down how many jobs that we take in a day. For us, it was a lot. We used to take about 7 jobs in a day. And we've slowed down over the years to do about 4 jobs a day. And some companies are 3 jobs a day, but they're doing more while they're in the home.
Yeah, and actually, it brings another level of safety to the consumer. So there's a little bit of a stigma attached to upselling in the UK. However, if you're selling products which are making the appliance safer, you're doing the right thing by the consumer. And I think the UK market can learn an awful lot from the US model in that respect.
We've gone through some changes, and we think maybe one of the most dangerous guys out there is the guy that's running in and only has 10 minutes to sweep it and not really do a great job of inspecting. Like, we've decided that's actually more dangerous by just running a brush and going. Like we run a
Yeah.
camera on every job. We on every single flue. We slow it down. Now I'm not saying that's true in Britain and everywhere else, but in America, our chimneys are in really bad shape, and they're poorly built in many times. And so for us, we have to do it. And plus, America, we love to sue each other. So we have to really cover our backside to make sure that when we're there, we have time. We do a very good job of inspection. And then the customer service side of it, we do a good job of explaining everything and all their options. And then that we're the company that can also repair or replace anything that we find that's broken.
Yeah, no, that's excellent, Mark. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next question. With hindsight, if you started out again, would you still choose to be a chimney sweep? And if so, what advice would you give your younger self?
You know what's funny? That's a great question. At first, for many years, I couldn't figure out why I felt like I should be something else. Like I was talking earlier, I'm a musician, so I'm a drummer. So I played drums my whole life, and I really just wanted to do that. And then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee to play, but I kept sweeping chimneys, and sweeping chimneys just kept working for me. Yet music got harder and harder, and I couldn't figure out. I felt like I was supposed to do something else, but I still stayed doing chimneys. And now, where I'm 51 years old, I I love the whole business. I would not have changed anything for the world. I really like how things turned out. But as I was going through it, it didn't feel like it was quite right until probably, 5, 6 years ago. But the best advice I think I would, give to somebody starting off is first, you need to pick what kind of business you want to be. Like if you say, hey, I want to grow and I want to have a multi-truck operation, you need to write that down, and you need to say, I'm gonna, say grow one truck a year for the next 5 years, and I'll be 5 trucks in 5 years or 5 trucks in 7 years. And then you need to get business training. If you're already an expert technically, stop getting more and more technical training and get business training as well as technical training. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes everybody makes is they just keep getting technical training and they're very technically proficient. But then when they add 2 or 3 trucks and they have management problems, they've got marketing problems, they got finance problems, they got leadership problems, then they're like, well, it was easier when I did it by myself. So they just go back to being by themselves. And I think that's a mistake. And so get help and get professional help. That sounds bad, but get professional help in the areas that you're not good at, accounting, marketing, those kind of things. And most importantly, learn leadership of people and leadership of your company. I think helps more than anything.
Yeah, no, I would agree completely. I've run sweeping companies, my whole life. I've had a similar sort of situation to yours. At one point, I was working as a bodyguard. At one point, I run a gymnasium, but I'm always back to chimney sweeping. So it's like a calling. I started out chimney sweeping. I'm a chimney sweep now. I'm sure my days will be finished chimney sweeping. Yeah. Although I tried some different things along the way because just like you, it's not that it didn't seem to fit. I think that I sort of believed the hype that I was destined for something else. Does that make sense? Does that ring true with you as well, Mark?
It's exactly. Yeah. I'm supposed to do something else. I'm sure I'm not supposed to be a chimney sweep, and here I am. It still keeps happening, and so I just had to embrace it. I mean, this is me. It's what I'm doing. And it's so funny. I know. I knew you used to be in the mixed martial arts stuff, and yeah. I think we all try different things too. And man, chimney sweeping just keeps working.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a calling. You end up back there,
yeah.
And it is a good business. I think
the
key thing with chimney sweeping is that each day the customers are new and different, so it keeps the sort of interest alive because you never know what you're going to get. It's a bit like putting your hand into a bag of sweets and picking one out, and you don't know what flavor you're going to get. The day could be any one of those sweets, or it could be one that you don't like. But even still, it's still interesting.
I think one thing that I think chimney sweeps like as much as anything, the reason so many people get in it, stay in it for so long, is they like being an expert in something. Yeah. And they become a true expert in something that very few people really know and understand. And secondly, a lot of chimney sweeps love the customer service part of it. You like going to people's houses. You like getting to know the people. You become friends with them a lot of times, and it becomes kind of who you are. But between the customer service aspect and being an expert at something that's kind of rare and unique, we're a weird group of brothers in this thing that really enjoy it. And most people seem to stay in it a long time once they get in it.
I think that's the thing too. Once you sort of come to terms with the fact that you are a chimney sweep, you absorb the whole thing, everything, the uniforms, the lifestyle. We go to meetings around the world. We serve. We have a great time. We enjoy being a chimney sweep, and actually, the cliche we enjoy. It goes from the old sort of Dick Van Dyke sort of cliche that initially probably we're embarrassed by. We embrace that. After some time, we embrace that and enjoy that. It becomes part of our character and part of who we are. And I think that's great. I think that chimney sweeps are a brotherhood. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey guys, just one sec, guys. If you, all of you who are watching, if you want to ask questions for Mark, don't hesitate to type in the live chat. And if I see your question coming through, then we will put it through to Mark. So don't hesitate to participate if you wish to do so. Yeah, Daniel.
Okay, so we know that you're a chimney sweep and an entrepreneurial chimney sweep, but what some of the people listening don't know is that you're also an author. And I think what people would like to know is what sparked the idea for you to write your best-selling book, Blue Collar Gold.
So I don't like writing. I don't love writing. What I do, I was doing some more speaking for our industry, and that's how you and I met at the Asheville conference. But I was also going around for our industry and speaking at a lot of events and different things. And I just wanted to be a better speaker. Well, I went to a speaking course, and it said, well, if you're going to be a professional speaker, you should go ahead and write a book. Because one, they said nobody will read it. But two, it's like a new business card. When you're going to be a speaker, you say, I wrote a book on this subject, and you could be taken a little more seriously. So it was just kind of a little bit of a side project, but I decided to really put everything I could into it to make it as good as I could. And the book is called Blue Collar Gold, How to Build a Service Business from the Dirt Up. And it is on Amazon, and it became an Amazon bestseller last year. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from it, and it's helped a lot of people. I basically told my story. Here's where I started. Here's how I got into it. Here's the big mistakes I made. And I think probably the best part about the book is it's not a toot my own horn book. It's like, here's where I made a mistake here. Here's where I messed up there. Don't do this. And every chapter kind of has stories, and then also has how to kind of fix that in your own business. It's a really simple read. It's also on Audible. You can download it on the app Audible, and it's me reading it, as good or bad as that is. But so I really just wanted to do it to help people. And last year, CNBC was doing a television show called Blue Collar Millionaires, and they found my story, and they asked if they could do a show on our chimney business. And so they did. And when it aired in prime time, that's what made the book go to bestseller, because they highlighted the book, and it really took off from there.
That's great. So I think you've partly answered the next question. Vinny, can you just check the screen, because I've got you on the screen and not Mark at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, it's because I was trying to put Mark's book cover on screen. And in order to do that, I have to mess about a little bit with the system.
You're going to be the next book cover model, Vinny. That's the thing.
Do you want to give me 1 second to try to show the book cover? So
please do.
People can have a sense for it. Can you guys see that?
That's fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Vinny.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm going to put the link to the Amazon UK link in the description of the video. So when you watch this video on replay, just click on the link, and you will be able to get to Mark's book.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you guys for that.
Yeah, and we think that again, as you said earlier on, what's missing a lot with a lot of the UK businesses is the fusion between being a chimney sweep and the job that's loved with the business skills required to run a business.
Right.
And you know, such as this, they help fuse that together. So it's a really good read. It's really worth reading. And for any chimney sweep out there or any other business, not just a chimney sweep, should give it a, you know.
Mark, do you feel there's some applications for UK sweeps to reading your book, or is it very focused on the US market and how it works over there?
Well, I'm not very familiar with the difference between the UK market and the US market, but I think some of them, a lot of the ideas I think could work in both markets, and Daniel could probably speak better than that if he's reading it. But I do know that I have a friend that actually recommended my book to a lot of other different services in the UK. And I got a lot of UK sales and emails from people saying it helped me in my, landscaping business or other types of service businesses where you have to have a person, you have to manage people and get them to the door and deliver a service, and then, manage that whole process of people calling you back and making sure you do a good job. So I think it can help people. I clearly it's not exactly like it is, but I think if you do want to grow your sweep business in the UK, I think there's some good nuggets in there that might help you.
Yeah, and I think not only in the UK too, because I think there's other markets around the world, such as the German market, which has been a fairly closed market, but then now they're becoming part of the free market, where they're going to need to sell their products. I think it could be a very good read for them too.
I think so. For me, one of my things in the US is, it's kind of like Amazon anymore. Everyone is fine ordering things and doing, and everybody wants it fast. And I think you have to really pay attention to that, because in the US, it's not uncommon for people to say they're booked out 2 weeks or a month or 2 months or more. And that is just not going to work in the future.
Yeah.
People are not going to wait that long, especially in the US. And unfortunately, some of these people that make people wait that long, what they don't realize is they're forcing worse chimney guys to have plenty of work. And they are able to be super busy, and they shouldn't be. So you have to decide if you're really going to be good. For me, I said, I'm going to train my guys the best I can. I'm going to make sure I can service as many people as I possibly can to do a better job than letting all that work go to unqualified contractors and actually literally possibly costing lives. So it's my goal to service as many people as I possibly can, and ideally employ a lot of people that learn the trade, because that was a problem for a while. A lot of people in the US, our conventions were getting older and older. The guys are getting older and older. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, our trade's going to die in the US. Well, all of a sudden there's this big influx of a lot of young guys, a lot of excited guys, and almost all of them want to learn how to build a business. They don't want to be the old guy with the dirty top hat and sweeping chimneys and doesn't have many opportunities.
We're seeing the same in the UK. And actually, it's exactly the same. The market here, it used to be waiting lists of 6 weeks or even 3 months were accepted by the consumer. Nowadays, there's a sliding scale actually, where price used to be the number one, or at least a very high factor. But when the waiting list becomes very long, that becomes a number one factor. So the price becomes secondary.
That's right.
And then we're in a situation where a good company can actually charge more for their product if they can supply the product in a given time scale. And that's where a lot of companies are failing. And that's where a lot of companies are not doing quite so well, simply because they're that one-man band or 2 vans out on the road, and they can't supply the demand. And then you know how the consumer works nowadays. They just click on the next link on the Google search, and then they keep going until they find one that fits their time scale.
Right. Their time is worth more than that $20 difference in service, or even $50 difference in service. Their time is worth, and you can go to Amazon all day long and it might not be the best price. You might be able to drive somewhere to a store and get it cheaper, but your time is worth more, and you hit the button and you're taken care of, and you just want it to, and that's the future. If you guys are listening to this show, watching this show, that's what's going to happen to our industry. The faster you can get to the house, you can charge more money. So there's kind of 3 lanes that you have to take. You've got to pick a lane, in business. You're either fast, you're quality, or you're cheap. Those are the three lanes that you got to pick. So there's all kinds of cheap guys. I don't want to fight in that market. The quality guys are normally the slowest. The best quality is usually the slowest. So you got to find your way between fast and quality. And ideally, it's close to here. Quality is close to fast, but we picked fast. We picked fast. We're going to get to you faster than anyone, and charge premium dollar to do it. That's the lane that we picked. And so that's working for us.
Yeah, and I think that you can make an easy comparison between, say, FedEx and Economy Mail. People are quite happy to pay for a premium delivery service because they get their product sooner. People don't want to wait a very long period for their product, especially in today's internet market where everything is now. It's not tomorrow or next month, it's today.
I can't imagine calling any other service and say, yeah, we'll get to you in a month. I would go crazy. If it were my dentist, if it were my landscaper, anybody, it said, we'll get to you in a month, I would go crazy. Yet Chimney Sweeps were like, we're okay with that. Well, I personally am not, but I think we have to change our mindset.
Yeah, I think the market's forcing a change in the mindset. I don't think it's something which is done by choice. I think it's a necessity. It's a change that Chimney Sweeps are being forced to make. Some don't like it, but they'll have to come along kicking and screaming, I think.
Hey, Mark, can I ask you, how far do your guys have to travel to you? So you say you have 15 trucks and you want to get fast to every job. How big an area do you cover?
So we run 25 trucks and have about
25.
50 employees. But we cover about a 40-mile radius around Nashville, Tennessee. So if you take Nashville and go out 40 miles, that's about where we are. But we're kind of southeast of the city center. So we have to go a little bit further to get to that north side sometimes. But that's the area that we have and we've kind of focused in.
And is traffic okay, or do you struggle with that?
Nashville is growing, and so therefore traffic is growing with it. And I think over time that may get worse for us. But right now, traffic isn't a big limiting factor for us.
Cool.
I lost you. Is he still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, I lost Vinny. I don't see his face anymore.
Oh no, he's there.
Okay.
I'm here.
Right.
Well, Mark, do you plan to write any additional books?
That's a great question too. Yes, I'm in the middle of writing another book. It's about leadership, about being a boss, about how to be the boss of people and enjoy it, and they enjoy you being a boss. Because I think that, if you have great leadership in any industry or anything you're involved with, that it's a really good feeling for the people. Like when there's solid leadership, it's like a warm blanket over the whole company. But if there's bad leadership or questionable leadership, everything feels bad and it makes people leave and it makes all kinds of issues. So, and I'm not by any means a perfect leader. I've had to learn the hard way, but I really want to do a good job as a leader. It's not my nature, but to be a leader. I was a drummer, like I said, so I was always in the back of the band. I didn't lead anything. But now that I'm a leader and I had to learn how to do that, I think there's some lessons that other people could learn from it. Because if you're going to build a big business, you're going to have to lead people. And if you're going to lead people, it doesn't come naturally for most people. You have to learn some lessons. And so I'm writing a book. I think I should be done with it in a couple months, and I'll probably release it maybe the first of the year or so.
I think that will be a great thing, a great read for people. I think in the UK, where people come from family businesses, they confuse being a leader with being a father. There's this it's a strange sort of scenario. And it's where they haven't been taught the skills necessary to run a business. Apart from those sort of fathering skills they learned from their father, where their father told them to do it this way, to do it that way. There's a mix. There's a mix up between being a dad and being a boss.
That's a great point. Yeah. And you want to kind of use some of those. And I know a lot of my employees sometimes may have not come from the best home life. They may not have had a father around. Sometimes I kind of become a father for them, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But there's also the main thing that I had trouble with was accountability, holding people accountable when they mess up, when they come in late, when they don't do something right, or when I say I need you to do something and they don't. There's an accountability. I used to think that was being mean to people when you force them or talk to them about being accountable. But actually, I learned it's one of the nicest things you can ever do to somebody is hold them accountable for what we agreed on. And you're right. Being a father is a lot different than being a leader of a company. I still want to be friendly, but you don't give me any crap either. There's like a line right there that I've had to learn to develop.
Yeah, and I think that'll be a very interesting read, and I look forward to it, Mark.
Thank you.
Apart from drumming, we know that you're a great drummer. What do you do in your spare time?
I read a lot. I love to read. I've probably read over 650 books on business, self-development, that type of thing. So I love that. I exercise quite a bit now. Every morning at 4 a.m. I get up and I do a pretty serious workout. So I like that. I also like to ski. And in Nashville, Tennessee, we have a hockey team called the Predators. That's our NHL team, and I'm now a sponsor of the team, and I go to a lot of those games, the hockey games. And lastly, I like to ride motorcycles. So I'm a big fan of riding motorcycles. I came over to Europe and did the Ashbusters thing, and we've ridden motorcycles through Italy and Switzerland and Belgium and those kind of areas. So that's what I do for fun.
Yeah, the roads are great in Switzerland for motorcycles.
Oh gosh, yeah.
That's a good place for bicycles and motorcycles. There are some other parts of Europe that aren't so much fun on two wheels.
Well, I'll have to get with you so you make sure I know which ones.
Yeah, there are some places which are not so much fun.
Do you still drum once in a while, Mark?
Say that again.
You still drum once in a while, or you never hit the drums anymore?
I have a nice drum set at my house, and I do drum a little bit. I kind of gave it up probably about 8 years ago. In Nashville, we've got an area that all the music is played right downtown Nashville. And I was playing down there in some of those clubs. And it just at one point, it just got really tough. And I just had to kind of decide I was going to focus on what was making money. And also, you could kind of see that playing music and in bars all the time and traveling and making just a little bit of money not going to it's going to be a tough life. So I felt like I got a late start in the chimney business. By the time I got serious about sweeping chimneys, I was about, 37, 38 is when I finally got really serious about it instead of just a one-man operation. And I think I got a little bit of a late jump, but I worked very hard every day at it and trying to get better every day. And I think it's working now. It was rough for a while though.
But I think it's very typical of musicians to want to be a full-time musician and maybe succeed to some extent, but you still need a side gig in a way. You still need a side job, and eventually that becomes your career. That's exactly what happened to me as well in many ways. I was playing a lot, and but I needed to make something happen. And while I was working in the music industry, people kept asking me for making them websites, which I would exchange for favors for the band. So I used to do websites for labels at Universal and stuff like that, or photographers or video makers, and in exchange it would do stuff for my band, or they would start paying me. And eventually it was so hard making money in the music industry that I had a job right there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think that's a very common story amongst musicians. You have a side thing, and that becomes your career.
Right. That they call that a side hustle in the States. And
oh really? Oh, interesting.
Your side hustle kind of takes over, and that's what happened for me. Had young kids, but but music is so ingrained in you. You have to do it. You have to follow it. You feel like you're destined to do it. But
what sort of stuff were you playing? What sort of music were you playing?
Rock, mostly rock, and some pop. But then in Nashville, we did a lot of country music too.
Yeah, of course.
And I played with. We opened for, if you know country at all, like Toby Keith and Kenny Chesney, and some of the big artists. We were the opening act for them a lot, and it was a lot of fun for a long time.
That must have been fun.
Yeah, it was.
Great stuff.
One final question for you, Mark.
Sure.
And that's just really, is there anything that you would like to say to the chimney sweeping world as a whole?
You know, I love this industry. You know, there's some people that like the message of growing the industry, and there's some people that don't like the message of growing the industry, and there's some people that like just the technical, and some people like the business. The truth is, there's room for all of it. I think but the main thing, you have to pick a path. I think the biggest thing that I missed for so long is how great of an opportunity is in the chimney industry. I think the opportunity is great, but I think you have to look at it differently probably than you're looking at it today. And you know, if you look at all the businesses that were huge and iconic at one point that went out of business, a lot of times what happened was they missed some key changes in what was happening around them. You know, Netflix took over and knocked out Blockbuster, and you know, you can go on and on about all these new things that knocked out the old things. So the main thing I would like to talk to the chimney sweeping world about is the way we do it today can't be the way how we do it tomorrow. It has to change, and we have to open up our eyes to opportunities and probably change the way you do things today, because it's not up to us. It's what the customer wants, and the customer is changing, and we have to adapt and move to that. And the people who move the fastest will be the most successful in the future.
Fantastic.
On that front, can I ask you what, in terms of your own marketing, what are the channels you found to be the most successful for your business? What do you do in terms of marketing that you find the most effective that could help maybe other chimney sweeps?
Sure. So we always start with our current customer base. For me, every customer gets at least 4 postcards a year. Every single one gets 4 postcards, and the first one is a thank you for doing business with us, and then we send out a spring cleaning so we try to do them in the spring and the off season. We also clean dryer vents here, and then we send them a Christmas card. And then we might send them a card on any other services that we provide. So every customer gets about 4 to 5 postcards a year.
Oh, wow.
So I think the one thing a lot of people miss is they try to do all this other advertising for new customers, but they forget to advertise to their current customer base. And those are the people who already love you and like your service, and they won't leave unless you give them a reason to leave. So our very first marketing step is to our current customer base. After that, we do, now I don't know that you can do this in where you are, but another big thing we do are yard signs, like these little, they stick in the ground and say we were at your house. Well, that's become a big deal for us. We put those in people's yards. We put 50 or 60 a week. And I don't know if you can do that there, but
I can't see that happening in the UK, no.
Okay. Well, we'll move on to other things. I do print magazines. We do home improvement magazines. We do short TV commercials on the evening news. And then I also advertise on some billboards, and as well as the Nashville Predators, the Megatron at some of these stadiums. And so that's the very top of the market. You got to do all this other stuff first. Now, let me back up. I did miss our Google AdWords and our Facebook ads and Instagram ads. We do all those specialty social media advertising as well.
Yeah.
The marketing game in the States used to be the yellow pages, and that was it. Now, I don't know if you ever had that there, but that was the only thing you had to do.
But now it's there. The yellow pages used to be this thick.
Yeah.
But now it's this thick. Now it's you know, it's half an inch thick now, and it used to be 3 inches thick. So the yellow pages, it was good in its day.
Yeah.
But that day's gone.
But the marketing now, it was in one place, and now it's exploded into 1,000. There's so many different things. Like here we have neighborhood apps that just the people in the neighborhood talk. And a million different things, you know, pay-per-click or pay-per-lead kind of things. We do a little bit of everything, and then we track the dollars on every single thing we do for how much it worked or didn't work.
Yeah.
And so we spend about 6% of our gross on marketing every year, 6 to 7%. Now, when I was trying to grow the business, I used to spend about 10% of my gross on marketing. But as we narrowed it down and got better and better, we're down to about 6% of our gross that we put back into marketing the company.
Yeah, I think there's very few companies in the UK that will do a 6% investment in of their turnover in their marketing, and that may be something that could be looked at really.
Yeah.
Well, we're such a free
Sorry.
market that people can choose anybody here, and I'm sure they probably can there too. So we have to outmarket people too, as well as outservice them.
Yeah, the reminder cards, I think, is something that the UK market does very well. I think that we're quite good at retention. We keep our customers year after year after year.
Yeah.
So that customer retention we're very good at. I don't think the UK market is very good at new custom. I think the new chimney sweeps coming into the market tend to be better at picking up that new work than the existing chimney sweeps that again are very good with their retention, because they've got great customer service skills, and they send their reminder cards and so on and so forth.
So the one thing I wonder about, so for us, if we keep going back to the same customer every year, for us, there's less and less work to do typically because you've already done it. And for us, we always actually want those new customers because we call it the fresh bite of the apple. It's the first chance somebody's looked at it in a long time. There's a great chance we're going to get additional work from it. And so we want some of that retention. We want about 25, 35%, current customers, and we want the rest of it to be new customers that we haven't been to before.
Yeah, I think in the UK there's this strange thing where we would turn up to a new house. This is a lot of people in general, and the chimney sweeps will be afraid of issuing that red warning notice and afraid of giving the customer the bad news that there are XYZ faults with the appliance.
Oh, really?
And I think that's partly because they don't offer the remedial action. I think if they offered the fix for the problem, I think they would be much happier giving the bad news.
Yeah, well, and we're in the bad news business. I mean,
Yeah.
I tell my guys, we're in the bad news business. You have to get good at delivering bad news. Now, let me ask you just a question back to you. Why in the States, most chimney companies are in the remedial business. We all inspect them, and we also can repair them if the customer wants us to. Why would that be different in where you are?
At the moment, there's two completely different markets. So we've got a market of registered installers, and those people would do the repair work. And then we've got a market of chimney sweeps, and chimney sweeps were historically just chimney cleaners and
Right.
people that would give advice on the chimney, but not really do the remedial work. Nowadays, it's starting to change, and it's changing quite quickly, where a lot of installers and remedial engineers are becoming chimney sweeps and vice versa. So there is now more and more who are going down that route, and it, out of necessity, I think, rather than choice. In the past, I think chimney sweeps didn't do that because it was such an easy job, just sweeping the chimney, having a cup of tea, and being on their way without the stress of sales or anything else. But the market's changed so much. And of course, the cost of living's gone up so much without the actual cost of the sweep going up alongside that. There's now the necessity to do the upselling. There is a necessity to do the repair work, to do the remedial work. And I think there should be too.
Well, and the customer probably doesn't want to actually have to get a different company. A lot of times they liked you, they trusted you, and if you could do the repair, they'd rather have you do it than have to call in a whole nother company they don't know about.
Of course.
And so I know there's sometimes was, if you have the ability to red tag something, there's the, conflict of interest where if you could red tag something and, oh, we can fix it over here, that's different. But as long as the customer has a choice and can see the clear reasons for it, you offer a competitive price, you really shouldn't have to compete on price so much. You're competing on convenience and customer service, and that's how we do it in the States. Yes, there's a group that's always going to go for the cheapest guy out there, but we're the most expensive guys, and we have been for a long time, and we're the biggest. So going cheap is not the answer. It makes you do a lot more work for less.
Yeah, and it takes away the opportunity to have that extra money for advertising, to buy the newest equipment, to grow. It takes away the opportunity to develop.
It does. Yeah, cheap is really rarely the way to go, especially in this service business. I would always encourage everybody to be the very top premium paid person in your area.
I feel less bad now because I am.
Well, you should be.
I feel justified in my charging structure.
Absolutely.
Far more so. Okay,
sure.
I think we're going to need to move on with some of the news, Vinny. We've been talking to Mark for a long time, and
Yeah,
thank you, Mark.
absolutely. Yeah.
What I would ask Mark to do is, if we can hang on, maybe you can join in with the conversation.
Sure.
As it unfolds.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mark, only if you have time. If you're still all
Sure.
right for a little bit. Okay. So let's do that. Let's jump to the news. Dan, what are the news this week?
Okay. Now, Vinny, can you change the screen, please?
Yeah, you're on. You should be on. You should be on.
No, not unless I've got even less hair than I have now, Vinny.
The system shows that you're on.
No, only yourself.
No, you're on. You're on. You are.
Okay. We've got some great news this week in the UK marketplace. There's been some fairly big changes going on in the background, and I'll give you a quick explanation. There have been a consultation between DEFRA, that's the government arm who deals with the air pollution and lots of other things, and industry stakeholders such as Chimney Sweeps, and people that have a vested interest in that market. The government have an initiative or several initiatives to bring down particulate emissions. That's the PM 2.5s and PM 10 particulate emissions that cause respiratory disease, but they also there's also other pollutants attached with that, and a lot of that pollution comes from the burning of wood stoves, or at the very least the burning badly of wood stoves. That's wood stoves that are not serviced well, ones that aren't swept, ones that burn wood that's too wet, wood stoves that typically are not used correctly by the user. So there's been this great consultation that's been going on over some time, and now there has been some feedback and some results from the government, and some of those results are really good. They're very, very positive, especially for the chimney sweeps. And I'll give you some examples. The government, DEFRA, have now produced guidelines. These guidelines are going out to all local communities, all local authorities and other stakeholders, which are then to be shared with the consumer at whole. And some of these guidelines include the need to sweep chimneys twice per year, the need to service appliances regularly, burning ready-to-burn fuels. They include guidance on the correct use of appliances and advice on replacing appliances with DEFRA exempted appliances or eco-design appliances. Where this guidance falls short, where we think it falls short, is on the lack of action on barbecues and bonfires. Typically, these things are used in the summer months, and when the government gets their figures in the UK for the particulate emissions, they do an annual figure. It's not like a month-by-month figure that's produced. It's an annual figure. And of course, we only use our wood-burning stoves for 4 or 5 months of the year, typically, especially in big cities. Whereas the barbecues are like every weekend or every evening in the summer months, and the bonfires, they're burning in farmers' fields, and they're going on in builders' building sites every day, and those produce a whole lot of particulate emissions. So they're very bad for the environment, and they're not really taken into the equation very much. It seems that the wood stoves get given the bad guy stamp, and often they are, of course, to blame for a small percentage, but on an annual basis, probably not so much. So what we would like DEFRA to do is to look more closely at the bonfires that are burning in farmers' fields, and perhaps the summer barbecues that are going every day, rather than attacking the wood stoves. Having said that, there is no plans to take away our solid fuel appliances. They're here to stay. So wood stoves are here to stay. There are plans, however, to ban and to phase out the worst polluting fuels. So fuels such as house coal and other very dirty coals will be phased out and replaced with smokeless fuels or appliances that burn wood in a much cleaner way. And that's very good for the environment, and it's good for our market too. The key thing, what I would say, is looking at the report, and actually there'll be a link available for you guys to download, so you can get this document that's going to the local councils, is the very key thing is the government are recommending that chimneys need sweeping twice a year, to local authorities. That's a very big, very key thing to us, especially when you guys are out there recommending that the chimney needs sweeping once a year. Your workload could, in essence, be doubled and reinforced by that big old voice of the UK government. So that's some fantastic news. That's a really, really big thing. Okay. Do we have any questions coming in on that, Vinny?
On this specifically, no, but if you guys have any questions on this news item, just drop a line and we'll discuss it. I don't know if Mark has any comment on that at his end.
Well, that's definitely an advantage to get that recommendation from the government. We don't have any recommendation. We have a NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, recommends annual inspections, cleaning if necessary. And so that's quite a boost from the government saying it needs to be swept and inspected twice a year. That's congratulations on that.
Yeah, but then I think is there not a big difference between, them saying that and them making it a rule that people have to...
There's no enforcement, but up until now, it's been left to the fire service to make those recommendations. And the fire service has a much smaller voice than the UK government. Like, I'll give you an example. The fire service tends to talk to the consumers in a small way, whereas the government, DEFRA, are sending out this guidance to every local authority. All of the local authorities in the UK will be given this guidance to advise the public on. And it may not get out to everyone. Indeed, it probably won't. But it will get out to a big chunk of the consumer. And if people are smart with their advertising, they can jump on this bandwagon and say, look, the government are saying sweep the chimney twice a year. This isn't me trying to sell you a product. Right. This is what's recommended by DEFRA. This will help the air. The air in the UK will be much cleaner. Your children will have a much nicer country to live in. The chance of chimney fires goes down, and so on and so forth. It's a very, very big thing. It's taken lots of years to get to this point, and of course, it does open the way for even more changes in the future with the government. So I'm sure that the various sort of pressure groups that are dealing with DEFRA at the moment will keep shouting from their various soapboxes to keep pushing the chimney sweeping industry in the right direction, because it's really great for the sweeping industry to be listened to in a government document. It's awesome. So from my point of view, it's fantastic. I'm sure for the industry, it's got some really great connotations and associations with it. You guys out there in the UK can do very well from that one document, I'm sure.
You wouldn't want the government to get into enforcement of that, because that could get really ugly. So you just want that to be a recommendation. And like you said, you use your own marketing and you retrain the customers as to what is recommended. And most people will follow along with that. And that's good news for you guys.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. The thing is, Mark, you're absolutely right in what you say, is that the government potentially could be forced or pushed into enforcement. But then who would do the work? This is the big question. Would it be the chimney sweeps, or would it be a service market that could accommodate the mass market much more simply? And those systems are already in place for other markets. I'm sure you know that, and I know that, and there's a big danger attached to that. I think the situation that's arisen now is perfect. It's a fantastic situation and has great business opportunities for the market. And
the other side, the enforcement side could also force people to stop burning wood, because they're like, if I'm going to be forced, I'm going to do something else. So you don't want them to get into enforcement. Like you said, they could go right around the chimney sweeps or get rid of them altogether.
I agree, because it would be probably easier to remove a few thousand chimney sweeps as opposed to we well, hopefully the way things are is how things will be, but perhaps sort of +1. We don't want to be going down that +10 route, because we don't know how long that road is and how steep it is. It could be a big drop at the end.
And do you guys think that maybe insurers are going to follow suit on that and also recommend in their contracts maybe that the chimneys are swept twice a year?
Well, very much so, Vinny. I think that the chimney sweeping organisations within the UK, they're already going to be writing documents to various insurers, which will have a copy of this document in. It would be the best thing to do for their members is to write to various insurers and say, look, the government are recommending that chimneys are swept twice a year. Are the people that you're insuring doing this? Can you write it into the policy to ensure this happens? And then there's enforcement, which isn't really enforcement. It's done through insurance companies rather than government enforcement, which is it can be a dangerous road to go down, that one.
That would be
perfect. But insurance companies forcing it so that you stay insured is really good for the chimney guys. That it be professionally inspected and maintained by chimney professionals through the insurance requirements. That's as good as it could get as far as I know.
Well, that happens in the UK to some degree now with thatch properties or with timber frame properties, high risk properties. Already have those things in place where the chimney must be swept by ex-professional X amount of times per year. So those are in place, but that's a very small part of the market. Whereas most of the UK market are brick houses. They're not special houses, so to speak. They're not a special risk. And it will be great to see that. It will be great to see that written into their documents in the future, just using the government documentation. It doesn't have to be special. It just has to be exactly what it says in the government document. So again, that's a really fantastic piece of news.
Excellent. Do we have any other news, Dan?
Yeah, we do. We've got some more local news. So in local news in the UK, Rotary Power Sweeping, which are one of the biggest equipment suppliers in the UK, are now a HETAS approved training centre in the southwest. They're working together with Robinson's UK, and they'll be running courses at that location. So people will be able to access HETAS training in the southwest of England through one of their favourite suppliers, RPS. So that's really great news.
I've got a picture of that. If I should share it with our viewers, let me just see if you guys see that.
Oh, there we go. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So that's good. That's excellent news for Rotary Power Sweep. Yeah,
it's very good, and it's very good news for the southwest because there's a distinct lack of training centres here. In this part of I'm in Devon as we speak now, and there's a distinct lack of training centres, and it's really good to have somewhere that can be accessed without having to travel a few hundred miles to get the training that we all need.
How do you guys train, Mark, in the States? Do you have training centres as well, or how does it work?
We have actually one national training center, so it sounds like you have a lot of even regional training centers. And so we do have like a lot of workshops, state and local workshops, and one actually national training center. So the fact of people having to travel a long way for that type of training is a fact in the U.S. It's not required that you have that training in the U.S. It's also not required that you actually be certified to do it, which I think is a problem. But so it's a voluntary thing to be trained. So in the United States, you can just jump right into business tomorrow
that's
without
the same here, though, Mark.
Oh, it is. Okay.
That's the same in the UK. There isn't any legislation in place. Chimney sweep is not a protected term. So you can be an ice cream man one day. The next day, you buy a set of brushes and a set of chimney rods and call yourself a chimney sweep. In the same way, you could be an ice cream man. Yep. Exactly the same. So the term isn't protected, and that's unfortunate. But it's been that way for a long time, and I think the market has got a way of fixing itself with that.
It does.
Yeah.
And so it's the same for us. We're trying to actually build some more training facilities, and that's just tough because our industry in the United States, we have about 1,800 certified sweeps. And we have about 8,000 sweeps total. So only maybe 25%, 20% of them are actually certified to do it. And for us, with the CSIA as our education body, and that's our goal, is to get more people certified. It helps the whole industry to become certified and become properly trained.
I think that's the great. It's a great number to make that to make the comparison, because in the UK, some of us think that we're oversubscribed here, and there is this. Fault that we're barking, but actually, if you look at the numbers, we've got about 1,800 too, which are certified here, and about 5,000 in total chimney sweeps. But all of our land mass would fit into one of your states.
Yeah.
So this is the thing. So in essence, one sweeping company could access the whole of the UK. All
Right.
realistically. So it's a very strange sort of phenomenon we've got here, where there is an over sort of subscription of chimney sweeps, and
Okay.
so
Yeah, you do have a lot more per square mile than we
oh
do.
yeah. That's today's not the show for that, because that's a soapbox I don't really want to stand on, but very much so. We've got, like I say, we've got very similar numbers to what you've got in the US.
Interesting.
And yet we've got a tiny landmass, and of course our population is very tiny in comparison too. I think we have about 70 million people in total in the UK. So yeah,
we have 320 million.
Yeah, so you've got a multiple, all right. So you can see how the numbers work much better for a US company than a UK company at present. Yeah.
So I guess the question is, how do you stand out and get more customers if you're really good with that flood of people that are willing to sweep a chimney?
That's the key thing. And I think the other question is how do you survive that flood? Because at some point the market will naturally, fix itself. There will be a natural sort of ebb and flow of companies. It will look less shiny from the outside because the market simply won't be as good. So how do you stem that flow? That's the key thing, I think, for the UK market, is how to get through that situation and how to come out on top of that situation as well. They're two distinct things. And I think some companies will do very, very well from the situation, and some companies won't exist. There'll be two extremes, and hopefully, with things like the government initiatives, potentially the workload could be doubled. Which would absolutely give a huge band-aid to the market. It will be a great thing, assuming that it's marketed well. So if all of the industry gets behind it, markets it in a similar way, there's more than enough people to get through to every household on a regular basis. Right. And that will help the market hugely. We'll just have to see how things work out with that. That's it. It's a bit of an unstable situation at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
maybe we can release Mark, because he's been on for an hour and 15 minutes, and we have to be conscious of his time.
I'm okay. I've got 30 more minutes. I'm okay.
That's okay. We were going to start wrapping up anyway. We were just going to give some advice about future shows and some things that are coming to future shows.
Yeah, so if I can just tell our viewers, whether you're watching live now, you're watching this on replay, there's a few things. If you're enjoying the show, I know it's the first one and it's a little bit rough around the edges, and we're working through things, but overall it's gone really smooth, considering. But we plan on doing this on a regular basis, and we plan on building this on a much bigger scale, and maybe have a little studio to have guests, and travel around Europe and go and see people and interview people and do things. And we can only do that if we feel that we're supported in doing that, and if we feel that you guys are interested and that you want it. Because if we feel that you don't, this is really an initiative to build a community and nothing else but that. Just build a community and get people together. So I would ask you to consider a few things. First of all, make sure you subscribe to the channel. YouTube has some restrictions that below 1,000 subscribers, our channel is restricted in many ways, in terms of how it's spread to other people, in terms of the monetization we can do, all kind of things. So it's very important that you subscribe to the button, to click the subscribe button. It's also very important that you click the like button, because if if YouTube sees that you're clicking the like button, it means that it's a signal that the video is appreciated and it's likely to be recommended to other people in the same kind of industry. So we're really relying on you to do these little things, if you don't mind. Also, you've seen how fantastic Mark has been on the show, and we're looking for guests. And if you've been in the industry for a while, and if you'd like to be on the next show or the next shows, we could also have multiple guests, and we want to be this as dynamic as possible. Put your name forward. Please do contact us, and please do say that you would be interested in being on the show. And this is a non-partisan kind of show. It doesn't matter if you belong to an association or not, if you're doing something or something else. If you're going to be an interesting person to just have a chat with and share your knowledge, and just as Mark has done, then we'd be absolutely delighted to hear from you. So that's one more thing. And the last thing I would ask is, eventually we would really appreciate to have some commercial sponsors on board to help us with building this show up. So if you're a manufacturer of products for chimney sweeps, or provider of services, and we're hitting your exact target market, and this show is going to get bigger and viewed time and time again, if you'd like to contact us and sponsor the show, we would have announcements throughout the shows and front loaded with your logos and your key messages and promotions and all these kind of things. By all means, please contact us and let us know. And I would just say, two final things. We've got these lovely little t-shirts. That's another way of supporting us. You can grab one. There's links below. And the final thing is that we don't take any emails or anything for contacting us. We do everything through Facebook, and we do everything through Twitter. So, tweet at the Sweep Show, or go on our Facebook page, or write a message at the Sweep Show. We will monitor that. Whatever your inquiry, you can also send direct messages and private messages, and we will check all that. So that would be fantastic if you contact us this way. And one very final thing, for this show, we've been a little bit limited because it's the first one in terms of user participation in sending us pictures. We would love to be sharing pictures. As it is a community show, we would love to be sharing pictures of you guys. So it could be wearing your uniforms, your different countries, different uniforms, your vans, anything which is cultural, which is interesting, which we can share with the community. That would be fantastic. And the second thing is, we'd love to have a laugh, so if you have some crazy pictures of crazy job, disaster scenario, all kind of funny stuff, send it to us ahead of the show. We would love to. This is the first show. We don't have much material, but as we move forward, we would really love to have loads of stuff, and to, with the guests having a good laugh about some stuff, because that's what it's about. It's about a camaraderie, and it's about building this spirit up. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say on that front, and I hope you guys feel connected to it and take action on it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Vinny. And thank you all for watching. Thank you for Mark. Thanks for joining us. It's been a great pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's been great.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Yeah, it's my honor. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. And please keep in touch when it comes to your new book. I'm sure we'll be happy to plug it for you, and you can send me a copy and I'll give it a read and give it a quick critique.
We'll do another show.
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. And I will put the link for viewers to the Amazon UK link for the book. Make sure you click the link if you're interested in reading the book, and that'll be there for you.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to wrap up. Thank you, everyone. I think, considering everything, we've done extremely well, and it's been very interesting. And thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge, Mark. And we're going to wrap up now. So thank you, everyone, for watching and sticking with us for an hour and 19 minutes. It's been fantastic. And goodbye from me, and goodbye from you guys.
Great job, guys.
Have a great night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.